What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. Okay, so today's topic, we're going to talk a little bit about Social Security. Now, Bernie Sanders, he's been going around doing speaking engagements, and he's talking a lot about Social Security. And I'm going to show you guys this clip, and we're going to talk about how Social Security works, because I think one of the major problems that I see, especially when I get responses in the comments and people, we're going back and forth talking about Social Security and reforming Social Security and expanding Social Security. One of the things that I see often is I see people writing things, and I know they haven't grasped the whole Social Security, how it works, how the benefits go out, where the money's coming from. Now, Bernie Sanders is going to be talking about raising the cap, and he said this plenty of times. And I want to talk about what he is explaining in this video, and then also so the pros and the cons. Like, how is this realistic, what we're talking about when it comes to raising the cap? So that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But before we do me two favors: like the video and subscribe to the channel. Okay, let me go ahead. We'll just click over here. This is on Twitter. Okay, so here we go.
Social Security is funded by you and by me. We put money into the Social Security Trust Fund. Republicans will tell you Social Security is going broke in a certain number of years, which happens not to be true because most of the money comes in every day. What is the answer? Well, it ain't hard, and I have legislation to do just that. If somebody in America makes $16 million a year, and there are many people who do, and somebody who makes about $160,000 a year, who pays more into the Social Security Trust Fund? Anybody know? They say, because there is a cap on Social Security taxes at about $165,000. So you make more than that, you don't pay any more than somebody making $165,000. If we lift that cap and demand that the wealthiest people start paying their fair share, we can do two things. Number one, we can rather significantly raise Social Security benefits for all those on Social Security. Number two, we can extend the solvency of Social Security for 75 years. That's the solution. Ain't hard.
Okay, so that was Senator Bernie Sanders talking about Social Security reform and talking about an increase for Social Security benefits. He said that if you raise the cap, it would do two things. One, it would provide an increase for people receiving Social Security benefits, and also it would prolong the program. It would stretch the program out for another 75 years. And so that sounds good. And now what he is saying is we need to do this by raising the cap. So right now the numbers are a little bit different. I don't know when this video was posted, but right now if you make more than $168,600, you no longer have to contribute. You no longer have to pay FICA, okay? And your employer no longer matches that FICA. And so if you were to raise the cap, then that would mean that people making over $168,600 would have to still contribute to FICA. And if they're contributing to FICA, that would mean the Social Security Administration or the trust funds would have more money to pay out benefits. And so that's what he's trying to explain there. Now, the good news is that it would work. The bad news is you're trying to push this through a Congress that relies on donors. They rely heavily on donors, and a lot of the donors are wealthy. And so if you're wealthy, you're going to say, no, I don't want to pay, because he gave that example of the person who's making 16 million or the person who's making 160,000, who pays more. Well, currently now they pay about the same, right? Because once you get over 168,600, you no longer have to pay in. And so let's just say if you make 168,600 or if you make 16 million, you contribute the same amount to Social Security. And so the only issue with this, okay, actually two issues. One is the wealthy people, because they're donors, you're going to have politicians that are going to look at that fact, and they're going to say, well, I don't want to raise, and this is what they call it, it's a contribution, but they'll say, I don't want to raise taxes on wealthy people, because if I raise taxes on wealthy people, they're not going to donate to my campaign. And that's the reality. That's what we're hearing. That's what we're seeing, okay? That's what these politicians are out there saying they don't want to raise taxes on wealthy people. Some politicians are saying, let's do it. Senator Bernie Sanders is saying, let's do it. But you have politicians that know that if they want to continue running in races, they need money, and a lot of that money is coming from wealthy donors. Okay, so that's one thing. Number two is if you raise the cap, because right now we have a cap on Social Security benefits. And that cap is I think if you work until you're 70, it'll be about $4,500, $4,600. That is the maximum. You can't receive more than that. And so if we were in a situation where we raise the cap, so people making over $168,600, they have to start contributing again, then we would have to raise the benefits. So you would no longer have a maximum of it, $4,500 or $4,600. It would go up. And so people who are wealthy, really wealthy, they're going to be getting, I mean, it would be crazy I don't know how they would do the calculations, but it would be crazy to look at how much they would be receiving. They might be receiving $6,000 or $7,000 in Social Security benefits a month. Now, another thing that's been talked about is, well, we can still do it. We can still raise the cap, but then we can means test the program. And so what that would mean is that people who are making more money, and they means test the program already, but they would do it even more. So let's say if you make $16 million a year and you're still contributing to Social Security because they've raised the cap, well, you wouldn't be receiving that much. You would only be receiving, let's say you're still receiving $4,600, and then the bottom half, the people who are below the poverty line, they would raise those people up. So that's what means testing is. But the only problem with means testing and what they're talking about now, because you have like the Heritage Foundation, they're talking about, yes, we need to means test Social Security, but they're not talking about raising the cap. They're talking about raising the full retirement age, means test Social Security, maybe make some cuts here or there. And so if they're means testing it without raising the cap, then that's going to really impact the middle class. And so let's say you work 30 or 40 years, you're making pretty good money, you're contributing to Social Security, you're now at the top end of the benefits every month, you would drop. You would get cut. Your Social Security benefits will be cut, and then the people who are below the poverty line, they would be lifted up. And so that's without raising the cap. Now, if you raise the cap, then the middle class might be okay because you have people that are, they're contributing, but they're making a lot more money. They're millionaires. And so those people would see a drastic cut, and maybe the middle class wouldn't see such a steep cut. So that's what they're talking about right now, and that's what Bernie Sanders wants to do. He wants to raise the cap. We've heard him talk about this. We've actually heard President Biden say the same thing. We need to raise the cap, but they're using different metrics. Some will say, let's raise the cap on people making $168,600. And Bernie Sanders has a proposal out right now where he wants to raise the cap on people making over $250,000. President Biden says, no, I don't want to tax anyone making less than $400,000. So if we raise the cap, it's going to have to be on people making over $400,000, and that goes along with the Social Security 2100 Act. So Representative Larson's plan. So it would be over $400,000. You would have to start contributing again. So that's what we're looking at right now. And one more thing that I want to say, and this is another reason why you might have some politicians shy away from raising the cap, is that businesses would have to match. And so let's say someone is making $16 million a year and you've raised the cap on them. So now they need to contribute. So they're going to be contributing the 6.2%. And guess what? Their employer has to match the 6.2%. And so now that person that is making $16 million a year, that's 6.2% of that $16 million. And then their employer has to match the 6.2% of that $16 million. And so now you have corporations that would say, no, we can't do that. We don't want to contribute all that. And so that's another thing that, you'll have lawmakers that will look at this and say, well, we're getting most of our donations from corporations as well as wealthy people and wealthy people that own corporations. And so we don't want to get involved in something like that. So raising the cap is something that I think is going to be a real challenge. It sounds good. And you'll have a lot of people that a lot of politicians will say that because it's easy, it's quick. Oh, we need to raise the cap, raise raise taxes on people who are wealthy. Like I said, it sounds good. It sounds like it could be easy to do, but there's going to be some conflict there. And the lawmakers are going to look at this and say, some lawmakers are going to look at this and say, no, I can't afford to do this because if I do this, I know I'm going to be losing some donors. And so I'll end with this. The most realistic way to solve the problem when it comes to reforming Social Security is to ask everyone to contribute more. So everyone who is working right now, contribute just a little bit more, and that way we will secure Social Security. We'll reform it, secure it for another 75 years, and then we can also provide an increase for people receiving benefits. That's the way to go, because now you're addressing the issue when it comes to reforming Social Security. Everyone is buying in a little bit more so they understand, look, yeah, we need to contribute 1% or 2% more. That's okay. Keep the cap where it is and just, allow and just tell people, look, we have to do this in order to preserve the program, because in 11 years, the program will be out of money as far as the trust fund will be out of money, which means about a 23% cut. Okay, and let me, just because I said that, the way that I said it, I want to correct how I said it. I want to explain it so people understand. Social Security is not going bankrupt. Social Security will be around. Okay, even after 11 years, we're still going to have Social Security. The problem is the trust funds. Trust funds right now have about $2.7 trillion in them. We're slowly using that money. And that is because the payroll contributions right now are not enough to pay out benefits at 100%. And so we're taking, and I'll just give you an example. Let's say the payroll contributions amount to about 80%. Now, I don't know this to be a fact, but I'm just giving you guys numbers so you can understand. So let's say the payroll contributions, everyone working right now, 6.2%, you're contributing, your employer's contributing 6.2%. That money is going to the trust fund, and that's about 80% of the benefits. That'll pay out about 80% of the benefits. And then the trust fund is using, that other 20% is coming from the trust fund. So eventually, if we're at the same pace, eventually that trust fund is going to run out of money. And when it does, then that's when you're going to see that 23% cut, because you're no longer going to have the trust fund. You're just going to have the money coming in from the payroll contribution. So I want to make that clear. So anytime you hear a lawmaker saying that Social Security is going bankrupt, it's not going bankrupt. It's the trust fund. The trust fund is being depleted. And that's why we need to reform it. We need to bring in more revenue in order to pay out benefits at 100% and continue to pay out benefits at 100%. And if you raise the payroll contribution across the board for everyone, ask them to pay 1% or 2% more, that would provide the money that you need, the revenue that you need to pay out benefits at 100%, even provide an increase, and then extend the program out for another 75 years. So that's where we are right now. Just wanted to kind of clear that up. I know, Bernie Sanders said that in his little speech. He was saying that you have lawmakers, Republicans that are out there right now that are saying that Social Security is going bankrupt. Don't be fooled. Don't let them fool you, okay? Because they will say that. And the reason why they're saying that is because they want to do away with the program. They want to privatize it. They don't want the program to stay the way it is now. And if they privatize it, guess what? That gives money to the donors. Okay, that gives money to corporations. Because now if you privatize Social Security, that means that you would be able to take control of some of the payroll contribution that you're currently contributing, and then you would be able to put that in the stock market. Putting money into the stock market helps grow the stock market, helps grow businesses, and that helps donors, and lawmakers like helping donors because these donors are donating to their campaign, right? All right, so if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.